Today I'm going to be doing some carnivore diet meal prep. Our family has a very busy week ahead, and so I want to cook one piece of meat today that's going to give us multiple different meal options because we don't like eating the same thing every day. Even on a carnivore diet, you can have a lot of variety. And of course, you know, I care about keeping it budget friendly, and most of all, it needs to be delicious. So that's what we're gonna do today. We're gonna cook with one of my favorite cuts of meat because it is so versatile, it's so fatty, it's very forgiving. If you feel like you're not a meat expert, like this is gonna be an easy one for you. And I think that you really get the best bang for your buck in terms of fat to protein ratio. And it was on sale this week for $1.79 a pound. What could go wrong? And that is a pork roast. This is a whole pork butt in a bag. Sometimes it's called like the picnic roast. I prefer to get it when it's bone in just because it tends to be a little juicier and have a little more flavor when you cook it. You can get these in like a 2-pack at Costco, but they already have the bone removed, so be careful about that. This was on sale, like I said, for $1.79 a pound, which means that for like over 9 pounds of meat, it was only $16.63. And this is gonna go a really long way. Now, transparency. We love cooking this in the smoker. It gives so much flavor. It's like you could just eat it plain. It just tastes like carnivore candy with this like smoky, delicious flavor. I'm aware that that's not an option for a lot of people. Another way we like to cook this is in the oven. It takes about the same amount of time. In 5 or so hours, you can have this like, it almost tastes smoky, especially if you use a smoked salt. You can have this like amazing pork butt. However, you kind of have to keep an eye on it. You got to watch it, and you got to be, you know, like you got to time out your meals properly. I don't have that luxury today. We're too busy. So today we are going to use the Crock-Pot because I'm going to put this in the Crock-Pot on low overnight. Our family likes to eat lunch every day. And so timing wise, like this is going to be done in the morning and we will be able to eat it for lunch. And then I'm going to show you like several different ways that I am going to make this throughout the week to get a wide variety of really budget-friendly, delicious meals from this one cut of meat. So make sure you stick around to the end to see all the different things that I'm gonna do with it. This video is sponsored by Element. Element is my favorite electrolytes. I start every morning with the unflavored Element packet. It's just this like super convenient little packet. I throw it in my water, I start my morning walk, I go about my day, and I know that I'm getting this perfect ratio of the sodium, the magnesium, the potassium that keeps me hydrated throughout the day. Like our bodies need that extra sodium. Even if you're salting your food, I need that boost of sodium in order to prevent me from having muscle cramps or headaches or feelings of fatigue. I also really love the lemonade salt. It's sweetened with stevia, and if I'm wanting something that's like an afternoon pick-me-up or a little sweet treat, I love adding one of these extra packets as well. Element has a deal for all my subscribers where you can get this sample pack free with any purchase, and it has 8 free sticks in it of 4 of their most popular flavors. So you get 2 of each where you can try one, share one with a friend. They also have a 100% money back guarantee, so there's no risk in trying it whatsoever. You can click the link in the description or go to drinkelement.com/LauraSpath to get this deal today. Thanks to Element for sponsoring this video. My biggest tip for giving yourself a lot of variety when you're trying to like repurpose one big piece of meat is just to keep it very simple in the beginning. Now, if you are 100% super strict carnivore, you're gonna wanna stick to only salt anyway, but you know our family does like to use some seasonings. However, when I'm trying to have this one piece of meat last us for like multiple meals, I like to only use salt in the beginning just so then I can use my seasonings and stuff to like give me some variety later. So I have my big pork here and we're just going to get it out and dry it off. This is why I use gloves so I can do this. Okay, I am going to just rub it with some tallow and then we are going to season it with just some nice flaky salt. I really am loving this like salty Provisions. Flaky salt, so perfect. So that's it. And then it's like mid-afternoon right now. It's when I had time to prep this. I'm just going to set it on a rack in the fridge until this evening, until I'm like right before I'm gonna go to bed. I'm guessing this is gonna take like 12 hours. I'll keep you posted. That's about how long it would take us if we did it on super low in the smoker. So I'm gonna smear this in tallow. Tallow is just what I happen to have on hand, but obviously you could use some pork lard to make it a little more on brand. And I think this salt is mostly gonna stick to it without it. I just like adding a little extra flavor. Now you could sear this if you have time. You could cut this into chunks and give it a little extra sear. We are just trying to do it as quick and simple as possible. Our family has made pork roast like this pretty regularly over the course of our 8 years being carnivore, but we were at a carniceria this weekend. Like, we like to go to some kind of try out new restaurants on Sundays after church. And we went to this carniceria, and I had not had like carnitas, which is like pork butt, Mexican style. They use a brine typically that has some fruit juices in it and a bunch of good seasonings. And it was, you know, it's pretty low carb even though they use a fruit juice brine. It was so delicious. And I told Chris, I was like, we got to make this at home this week. So one of our, I'm going to spoiler, one of our ways that we're going to repurpose this is to do some like really carnivore friendly carnitas. Now, I'm not going to sear this at all. I actually didn't take into account the size of my crock pot. Okay, we're gonna jam this in there. I gotta make sure the lid fits on. You want to keep your fat cap side up. So then as it cooks, that fat is gonna drip down on top of it. And like, this is it. I'm not gonna put any liquid on it. I'm not gonna do anything else to it. I'm literally just gonna put it in here. I got my clean hand. And then we are going to make sure that lid stays on really good. I'm gonna have to like jam it in there. That's the part I didn't think through. So I told you though, this is pretty foolproof. You could always trim this and cut it into cubes in like 4 big chunks if you wanted it to cook faster, but we're gonna make it work this way. Okay, I said I was gonna put this on the tray, but I already jammed it in here, so I don't want to take it out and then have to wash this. So we're just gonna put this whole thing in the fridge. Especially if you're doing beef, it works really well to cover it in salt and let it sit open in the fridge for a few hours or even a couple of days, just like a salt brine. But I already got it in here. We're just gonna throw this in the fridge. And then about 9 o'clock tonight, I'm gonna start my crock pot. It's 9 a.m. I'm very sweaty. I just finished walking on my walking pad while I was working for the last couple of hours, but I wanted to give you an update on the crock pot. Here we go. This has been on low overnight. It is cooked. Look at all that juice that just comes out of it. This is why you don't need to add water in the beginning, because it's gonna make its own juice. Now, the top is looking kind of globby. I don't know about you, but that fat on top does not look very appealing to me. But don't worry, we're gonna fix it. When it's time for lunch, I'm gonna take a shower. When it's time for lunch, I'm gonna show you, this is where the magic happens in making this crock-pot meal turn from mush into something really delicious. This was in the crock-pot on low for like 14 hours. It's a huge roast though. You could make it go faster by having it be on high. And actually, like, I just didn't have time to eat yet. We wanted this for lunch. And so it's been sitting off for the last few hours. You really just, all you gotta do is see if it's shreddable. That's how you're gonna know if it's finished. And if you want to be specific, you can get a meat thermometer and just make sure that it's around like 200 to 204 degrees. But it is like, it's gonna fall apart. I don't even know if I'm gonna like get it out of here without it falling apart. I think if I used some tongs and stuff, it's gonna fall apart. So we're just gonna try to use my hands. This is my like very sophisticated glove method. These are just winter gloves, and then I'm gonna cover them in, to hopefully not be too hot. We'll see if I can do this. This might be a bad idea. Cover them in some like food safe gloves. Anytime I'm handling meat that's like too hot or too cold, I always use these like winter gloves. I feel like barbecue gloves are just too bulky. I can't get my hands in there, so we'll see. Ooh, okay, we're good. We're good. Now watch how easily this bone is going to slide right out. I'm trying to not shred the whole thing. So here we go. Super clean. We are gonna make those Mexican style carnitas for lunch today. And then after I'm finished with this, I'll share with you the like 3 or 4 other ways that we're gonna use this for leftovers. Now, if you love seasonings and you're pretty good with like a good amount of seasoning, Siete, the Siete brand, which really, they pride themselves on like pretty clean ingredients. They have a carnitas seasoning packet for the slow cooker specifically. So you then, like after it comes out, you could take some of this liquid and mix all of this in. It is like 2 grams of carbs per 1 teaspoon, which to use the whole packet is probably a little bit much carbs for me personally. So we're not gonna use this today. I'm actually just going to use, like, you could use this method that I'm gonna show you with keep it just salt so it's pure carnivore, but I am gonna add some chili lime seasoning. This is like my kid's favorite currently, and we're gonna do this. I am going to give this a rough chop. You could just shred the whole thing, throw it back in the liquid, and you have yourself a good shredded pork. But I am going to just give this a rough chop. For carnitas, you kind of like having bigger pieces. And like I mentioned, all of this fat, I want to get it nice and crispy. And if I just shred the whole thing up right now, that globby fat is going to kind of just get mixed in. The real secret to carnitas is this mix of the crispy and the juicy. So I'm gonna try to leave some of these pieces kind of whole, and we're gonna take some of this fat and I'm gonna transfer it to a cookie sheet with some parchment paper on it, and then we are gonna stick it in the broiler to get it nice and crispy. This is so good. If you were going to do a smaller amount, you could just do this in the air fryer and make yourself like a single serve portion. But since our family is gonna eat this for lunch today, I'm just gonna take and we're gonna do it in the oven to make sure that I can get kind of a lot done at the same time. I'm just going to sprinkle some seasoning over this, and then we're gonna get it into the broiler. Kind of flip it around. While that's in the broiler, I'm gonna get together the rest of my toppings, and obviously not carnivore, but I love a little lime juice on top. It's low sugar enough for me. And I also have some of this like cojita cheese, which we will crumble up and put on top. If you wanted to keep it like 100% carnivore, just take the meat, broil it at the end, and then you can add a little bit of cheese on top. You even could get crazy and take some mozzarella cheese, you know, spread it on some parchment paper, put it in the microwave for, you know, 1.5 minutes and make yourself like the mozzarella cheese shell. And then you could take the meat and we put it in, we're gonna make one of those. I've made this in other videos before, but we just have about, it's maybe a little too much. So we have about 1/2 cup of mozzarella cheese, and we are just going to spread it out. And then you really gotta just kind of watch it. I think about 1:40 is what's best for my microwave, but you just kind of keep an eye on it, and when it starts to like turn a brown and golden color, that's when it's gonna get crispy. Before it cools off, we just need to fold it. I can't do this with one hand. Actually, see how gooey that is? I'm gonna put it back in for like 10 more seconds. You might be better off using foil instead of parchment paper, but look at all that good, crispy char on the top of that meat. I have my crispy taco shell. We're gonna put some of this crispy, look at that. It's so perfect because it's like crispy on one side and then it's like still juicy and tender on the inside, and it's still just like shredding. So good. And now all of that fat just has like crispy pieces on it, which is perfect. You can get crazy, and we're gonna squeeze a little bit of lime juice on there. I'm not a spicy person. Chris will put a lot of hot sauce on there. I just use like a tiny bit of Tapatio, and then you know, dairy carbs. We don't count calories from dairy. I'm gonna put some sour cream, which also, like I said, we have that other cheese too. I just figured I already got a cheese shell. I don't need to add cheese on top of it, but look how good that looks. That is so good. Before we go eat lunch, let me talk you through the rest of this. So I now have all my carnitas for today. We'll probably have a little bit of leftovers there. And then I have like another huge half of the pork roast left over. This we are gonna reheat. If you wanted to keep it strict carnivore, you could reheat it in the air fryer with some smoked salt on top, and it's gonna almost give you that like barbecue vibes. For my kids, I'm gonna reheat it and mix it with some sugar-free barbecue sauce, and they'll just have pulled pork in a bowl, and then whatever sides they want. I really love taking this and some of those fatty, crispy pieces, and I will reheat it in a skillet so that everything gets nice and crispy, and then I'll throw some scrambled eggs in with it. Or you could do it if you, like I love to dip things in egg yolks, so make some fried eggs, and then I will reheat this in the air fryer or the skillet so it's nice and crispy. And then I will dip this into my egg yolks and then just kind of like mix everything together. I love that. We will do tacos or like taco bowls with this multiple times and not get sick of that, so we can rotate through. What else are we gonna do with it? I mean, we're just gonna eat it plain. Ooh, I have some lemon pepper seasoning. So you could reheat it and make some lemon pepper seasoning. And just because all we used was salt at this point, there's like, take your favorite seasonings or add some, you know, other meats to it. You could mix this up and, ooh, you know what would be good is take a burger patty, pulled pork on top of it, some bacon, a fried egg on top of it. You got yourself like a 3-meat burger pile. Like this is a great baseline meat. You could do endless things with this. And I'll tell you what, this makes me kind of feel like I'm not carnivore almost. You know, you have this big pile, like it makes you feel like you're eating the old bar food or comfort food or some of those old foods. It's a great way of like giving variety. And we know look at all of this meat. I have almost 10 pounds of meat and it was $16. It's gonna feed my family for several meals for this week, and then we'll just have some steaks and other things along with it as well. This would be great for a party or to feed a crowd as well. You could make this, stay carnivore, not be thrown off track from your goals, and yet you can kind of like add a few sides for all the normal eaters also. I hope this was helpful. If you try it, tag me. Let me know what you guys think. What would be your favorite way to reheat this and reinvent it for leftovers? Thanks for watching.